Hi, my name is Bobby Lou, and I'm the author of three published novels. Desperate Girls and Baby Pawn are part of a series, and they're available on Amazon.com. And I have a new release, For You I Would, a YA contemporary novel that is also available on Amazon.com. Welcome to Diary of an Introverted Author. This is my first podcast, and official podcast. I've done voiceovers for most of my blogs, but this is my first official podcast, so welcome. If you are a subscriber to my Substack blog, thank you so much for supporting me. And if you're new here, I appreciate you being here, and I hope you get something out of what we discuss. My focus for the blog and the podcast started out as a way to figure out how to do marketing. So as an introverted author, a new introverted author, there's nobody that's going to sell my books but me. So I've got to figure out that piece of it, but I was struggling. I'm still struggling. And I thought, well, let me go ahead and blog about this or put something out there and maybe find my tribe so that we can kind of work through this thing together. And at the same time, I'm thinking my first novel was published on October 10th of 2023. I was thinking, I've made some mistakes. um, I released my second novel in April of 2024, and with that novel, I made some mistakes. I just released my third novel, actually, the day I'm creating this this podcast, August 31st. And even with this third novel, I've made some mistakes. I don't think I'm out of mistakes yet. There's some more in me. But the one thing that I love is learning the process on the back end, learning how to correct it in a way that works for me. Because everything that is quote unquote right to do and that we should do when writing or publishing a book, I think that there's a wee bit of wiggle room in there. For myself, I know that there's definitely some things that we need to do genre-wise, unless you're okay losing a reader because it doesn't quite fit the genre as they know it, or there are certain things we need to do in terms of the marketing piece and getting our books out there. I think there's some definite hard, written in stone type things, but there's also some wiggle room. And for myself, I'm a different bird. I'm not really sure if I am the same as anybody else. Um, and when I say that, I don't want it to sound as if I think I'm better because I absolutely am not. I just know that I'm quirky. I'm just different. And I know, like, not just with writing, but with other things as well. And the fact that I'm introverted, you throw that into the mix, and it just looks different for me. There are some things that people will tell me, or I'll read or research, and it does not resonate with me. And so some of those things work out fine, and then there's other things that is like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's a big mistake. And I've got to go back and try and not so much fix it. If I can fix it, I definitely can. I will do that. But moving forward, trying to figure out how to have a much better outcome moving forward, and whether that be falling in line with what's always been done or doing what works for me, but still meeting the criteria of what's always been done in some respect. Again, like I feel like it doesn't have to look exactly the same for everybody, but I'm learning that there are some things I've got to hit the points on. I've got to hit, certain cues with it. And it's, as a new author, it's expected. So, and I say that I'm talking myself into that as well. Sometimes I'm a perfectionist, and I know if I don't release it, if I don't just move forward, I never will. So I think that is why with book 1, 2, and 3, I've had mistakes. And that's why I already know that I have more mistakes in me, because I am at a point in life where I can't allow myself to hold me back, if that makes any sense. I And when we look at a scale 0 to 100, we put that put that into ages. I'm on the latter end of that scale. I have sat on my writing for such a long period of time because I didn't feel like I was good enough, because it wasn't perfect, because all the things, you know, and I refuse to do that anymore. So if I put something out there, I'm trying to put out the best thing that I can possibly put out. But I can't wait until it's perfect, because if I do, then I'm not going to put anything out there. So, so for me, the learning piece is very important, and as well as the teaching piece, because I do better when I can teach something to somebody else, because then it kind of solidifies it for myself too. So, so I can tell that I've made progress from book one to book three. I can see the progress. Do I have a long way to go? Absolutely. And it just is what it is. I'm okay. I am in this for the long haul. I am counting the days down until I retire so that I can spend my days reading, writing, and letting my dog outside every 20 or 30 minutes. Like, that's going to be my life. Just counting the days. So those are the reasons I do the blog, and why I'm doing the podcast is, to kind of hone in on the skills needed for marketing for introverted people, or for what works for individual people in whatever situations they're in, and then to look at the mistakes, look at, the craft of writing, look at some of those key things that are important to know, and just kind of explore some stuff. Like I said, I've made many mistakes. The first series that I have right now for the podcast, or for the blog, I'm not sure. I think I'll probably do them on both. I'm not sure, but it speaks to why some of us take so long to do the thing. I wanted to write since I was in high school. I remember writing I think it was a short story in English, and thinking about how I wanted to I wanted to expound on it. I wanted to make it some long long novel, and for whatever reason it stayed that short story. I got my grade, I shoved it in my book, and I went home, and that was that. I have written a couple of children's stories along the way. I'm not even sure where those are. I have done poetry. Now I have my poetry, like that was, I still have that, but that was what I kind of fell into and felt comfortable with. But because it was so personal, like, that's nothing that I would ever publish, make public. But with my writing, I can't even tell you how many books I've started and didn't finish. A couple I started, and I would write and then put it away, and then maybe 4 or 5 years later I take it out, I write some more, put it away, or I'd mull over the same 4 or 5 chapters over and over again. That was my life for a long time, and last year something changed, and I was able to complete a novel, and once I completed that first one, I just kept going. So the first series that I want to talk about is, those things that hold us back, but more importantly, how can we use some of this information to push us forward? I know I'm not sure if my audience is mostly readers or kind of half and half, readers and authors, but for readers, if you are looking at dabbling in the writing field, and something is kind of holding you back, if you have a story, all you have to do is put it on paper, and you're a writer, So that's because I have regrets about not starting earlier, or not writing with purpose, and writing to completion. I have regrets about that. And I don't have regrets about a lot of things in life, but I do have regrets about that, because I really wish I would have done it earlier. But because of that, like, I want to make sure that anyone that has a desire to write has the tools that they need to have to do it, and to complete what they intend on completing as it relates to writing. So that's my first series. It's titled Page One, and I'll start that the next session. If you're listening to the podcast, sometimes when I blog, I do give out freebies. So if there's not a blog attached to the podcast, or I guess the podcast inside the blog, then, and I mentioned it, please jump over to the blog so you can get in on that deal. Again, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you being here. I would love for you guys to walk this journey with me. And if you have input, by all means, put a comment below, send me an email. Would love to know your thoughts, would love your input, and would love to walk this journey with you. You are listening to Diary of an Introverted Author, and I am Bobby Lou, and I look forward to seeing you, or excuse me, I'm not seeing you. I look forward to hearing, well, actually, you know what? Let me just tell you this one funny thing. And I'm so sorry, this is what you're going to get with me. I'm off on a tangent already. For all the blogs that I have done voiceovers for, the last 4 blogs I've done on Substack, I thought I was using this fancy microphone, and today I found out that it wasn't even hooked up. So now this is the fancy microphone that I'm using. But I'm going to chalk this up to another one of those mistakes. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Bobby Lou is my name, and this is Diary of an Introverted Author. I will hopefully catch you on the next podcast. Thank you so much. Bye.